US President Joe Biden has warned top congressional leaders of the dire cost of failing to give Ukraine military aid. This as he hosted high-stakes talks at the White House. The rare Oval Office meeting escalated efforts to unlock billions of dollars of stalled assistance for Ukraine's fight against Russia's invasion and to avert a government shutdown at home. Biden said, "On Ukraine, I think the need is urgent." He was flanked by Vice President Kamala Harris. He also said, "The consequence of inaction every day in Ukraine is dire." Now, House Speaker Mike Johnson, a Donald Trump ally who leads a razor-thin Republican majority, has refused to allow a vote on a so-called supplemental funding bill in which President Biden has asked for new aid to Ukraine. Biden implored the top four leaders of Congress to act quickly to avoid a looming government shutdown early next month and to pass emergency aid for Ukraine and Israel as a legislative logjam in the GOP-led House of Representatives shows no signs of abating. Biden hosted House Speaker Mike Johnson, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell at the Oval Office along with Vice President Kamala Harris. Republicans in the House have thus far refused to bring up the $95 billion national security package that bolsters aid for Ukraine, Israel and the Indo-Pacific. That measure cleared the Senate on a bipartisan 70-29 vote this month, but Johnson has resisted scheduling it for a vote in the House. Apart from the national security package, government funding for agriculture, transportation, military construction and some veteran services expires on the 1st of March, that's the day after. Funding for the rest of the government, including the Pentagon, the Department of Homeland Security and the State Department, expires a week later on the 8th of March, the day after Biden is set to deliver his State of the Union address. Biden said it's Congress's responsibility to fund the government. A government shutdown would damage the economy significantly. We need a bipartisan solution.
Figure out how we're going to keep funding the government, which is an important problem, an important solution we need to find, and I think we can do that. And in Ukraine, I think the need is urgent. I hope we get to speak to that a little bit. And I think the consequences of inaction every day in Ukraine are dire. I've been speaking to some of our G7 partners, and you just got back, Chuck. They're very concerned, and also we need to we need to, in terms of the supplemental, we need to deal with the Israeli portion, but that also contains a significant portion having to do with humanitarian assistance into the Palestinian area, which I think is important. And we have to replenish the air defenses for Israel. And we have to work on making sure they don't face the threat from, they can face the threat from what's going on in the Middle East, not just from Hamas, but from Iran.
How would the United States regard any NATO ally sending troops to Ukraine?
Well, that's a sovereign decision that every NATO ally would have to make for themselves. You heard Secretary General Stoltenberg say himself he had no plans or intentions of certainly under NATO auspices, of putting troops on the ground, and President Biden has been crystal clear since the beginning of this conflict. There will be no U.S. troops on the ground in a combat role there in Ukraine. The only U.S. Military personnel that are in Ukraine are associated with the embassy as part of the Defense Attaché office, and they're doing important work in terms of helping us with the accountability of weapons and systems that are provided to Ukraine. The President's been clear, there's not going to be U.S. troops on the ground in Ukraine.
Well, it was both a productive and an intense meeting. Productive meeting on the government shutdown. We are making good progress. We made it very clear, the Speaker said unequivocally he wants to avoid a government shutdown. We made it clear that that means not letting any of the government appropriations bills lapse, which means you need some CRs to get that done. But we're making good progress, and we're hopeful we can get this done really quickly. There are a little back and forth on different issues that different people want, but I don't think those are insurmountable. The fact that that we made it so clear that we can't have the shutdown because it hurts so many people in so many different ways, even for a short period of time.